Hi again. I'm in high school now. I want to tell you about when my mom found out some information about her family in Japan. She learned, I don't know when it was, but it's somewhere when I was in high school around that time, I guess, that she learned that her one sister, who she said I took after, that was very thin, like me, tall and thin, she said, now I'm 5'2" and she thought that was tall because she was so little. But the one sister was in Okinawa, the little island off of Japan, and the other sister was in Florida. Had married I don't know if he was Army or Navy, but she married a U.S. military guy, and they had a home in Florida. And her younger brother, now that sister's 3 years older, her younger brother ended up in Argentina. Um, so they were all in touch again, writing letters, and that was a nice thing. My mom had a Bible in Japanese, and I think she tried to read it a little bit. Um, I think her sister in Florida sent it to her, and there's more to come about all that. Um, she also had a little word from her dad every once in a while, and then her dad died, and she cried. So she used to watch the Miss America every year. She liked the Miss America pageant, and I used to watch it with her. She liked it when I watched it with her, and I was okay with that. But she always told me growing up, she always told me that I was going to be Miss America when I got old enough. And I kind of sort of thought that somehow something, I might be in the competition or something, because she always made a big deal every year, you're going to be Miss America. Watch this. This is where you're going to be in this pageant and all this stuff. But in high school, I realized that it wasn't going to happen for sure. So that was another kind of disappointment. Okay, my mom, one day she got a, she was sick, and I imagine she probably had a really high fever because she was hallucinating. She was in her bed, and I was trying to take care of her and keep an eye on her. And one day she was hallucinating and saying really weird stuff. She said that she was seeing a baseball floating around the room and different things. I was really scared. I didn't know. I thought she might have been having some kind of a breakdown, like a psychotic breakdown or something, because she was pretty wacko. She really was. Um, but now I think maybe she had a high fever. I don't know. Um, Oh, one day when I was in high school, and now I told you about how high school was not a good place for me. I I was like a lost puppy. I hated it. I always felt like I didn't fit in. Everybody was doing better than me. So one day I'm in school early in the morning, and somebody says, I think your mom is looking for you. And I'm like, what? I had made a lunch in a brown paper bag, and my mother came to school because I forgot it at home. And my mom came to school with the brown paper bag, and she was actually walking around the hallways in this big school yelling, Susie, Susie, so I could get my lunch. How embarrassing is that? I Somebody told me, and I found her. I got my lunch. I said thank you. I said don't ever ever come to this school again. My poor mom, she was trying to be, good and do what she was supposed to do, but it was so embarrassing. So I started to skip school sometime, because it wasn't going well for me. I didn't like it, and I had a girlfriend who, I don't think she was a very good student. She didn't care that much or whatever, I don't know. But she used to cut school, and she would say that she had a stomach ache all the time, and her mother would let her stay home a lot. And she would, anyway, I started doing it also with her. And I would just, because my mom would go to work early, my grandma would be there to see me off to school, and my little brother, right? I mean, my brother was 8 years younger, so when I was in high school, my brother was starting school. And so my grandma was the only one that would know if I didn't leave home the right time or something. So sometimes I would just tell my grandma that I had a stomach ache or something. I truly did get really bad menstrual cramps every month. It was really bad, and I would have to stay home. If I went to school, I would have to leave. It was bad. To get off the subject for 1 second, I remember it was so bad one time, I would have to call a cab from school to take me home. And one time I was out in the front of the school waiting on the cab, and the cramps were so bad, and would make my legs feel really weak, and I couldn't stand up. I had to just sit down on the curb, because I really felt like I couldn't stand up any longer. My legs were going to give out on me. It was bad. And those cramps kept up my whole time till I got into menopause. I had a bad time with that. Anyway, used to cut school with my girlfriend. And her mom was okay with us staying over there. I don't know if she knew we were faking, or she didn't care, or she thought there was something wrong with her, because she was always saying she had a stomach ache. I don't know. But we would go over, and she had bunk beds in her bedroom because she had a sister. So I would take one bunk, she would take the other. Her mom was home all day, and she had a big pile of True Confession magazines, and we would just read those True Confession magazines all day. So I learned a whole lot from those True Confessions, a lot about sex and boyfriends and dating and stuff, but it was mostly negative. Anyway, I filled my head with a lot of that stuff. Got a lot of ideas from it. Not good. So one day when I was cutting school, and this day I wasn't with her. I was cutting school for a different reason. I think maybe, I'm not sure, I might have just wanted to stay home that day. But what I did was I went down in the basement because that was a good hiding place. So I pretended I went to school in the morning. I went out the front door like usual with my books in arm, and nobody wore backpacks back then, or you just carried your books. And I went around the house and went into the basement door, and I would wait down there till my mom left and my brother left for school. And then I would come back around through the front door, and I would tell my grandma that I came home because I wasn't feeling good. So that was what I did several times. And this one day I was in the basement waiting for my mom and my brother to leave, right? My mom left and my brother was still there. I'm waiting. And here comes a man down into the basement to fix the furnace. I didn't know that somebody was coming to fix the furnace. So he comes down, he has his tools and all. He comes down, he saw me standing there and the basement was just a dirt floor with the furnace. That was basically it. And some extra room that you could store things or something, but it was empty. And there I was with my dress on and my books and standing next to the furnace. And I went like this. And he didn't say a word. And he came in and I said, please don't say anything. And he just started fixing the furnace. And then my brother, who was only like, 5, 6, 7 years old, something like that, he was almost time to leave for school, but he heard something in the basement, right? So he opened the door and he yelled for me, and I didn't answer. And I'm like, shh. I was just hoping that the furnace guy wasn't going to say anything. And my brother yells down, Susie, are you down there? Are you down there? And the guy says, just me and the furnace down there, down here. He was a good guy. So my brother says, I thought I heard her voice. Are you sure my sister's not down there? He says, just me and the furnace down here. So then it was time for him to go to school, so he left. Anyway, I just thought that was a great story to remember. Cool guy. And I got to cut school again. I did that a lot. And more's to come next time when I'll be talking about more high school stuff. But the other thing I wanted to mention, what is so cool when I was in high school, now we're getting into the late 60s, right? So, I didn't live far from New York City, and our radio and TV stations were all from New York. And around that time, I discovered somehow, from school kids, I suppose, I discovered FM radio. I think it was brand new at that time. And there was this one really cool station that I used to listen to every night in the kitchen. I'd have my homework out and I would put it on. And the DJ was Roscoe. You remember Roscoe, anybody? Because he was the coolest guy. He had a really cool, deep voice. And he would talk slow. And the underground music was songs that they didn't play on the AM radio for different reasons. Well, for one thing, at that time, the songs were getting longer. And I mean, some of the songs were like 10 minutes long. And the AM radio, they didn't want to play a song that was more than about 2 minutes or something. And some of these songs, they had a short version for AM radio, and then the long version with another chorus, another verse, or 2 or 3, and a lot more instrumental music in there. And that would be the underground version. And so the songs were longer, but also they were very revolutionary. This was when the hippie time was just coming up, things were transitioning. A lot of awareness about injustice. That's not the right word, but you know what I'm talking about. So, in fact, let me insert this. 8th grade graduation, we sang Blowing in the Wind, which at that time, that was a breakthrough type of song. And at that time, it was Peter, Paul, and Mary had it like on the top charts. But, Bob Dylan actually wrote that song. And Bob Dylan was more of an underground kind of guy. Because the thing with the underground radio was that they played a lot of those revolutionary songs, a lot of anti-government and anti-establishment, that's what we called it. Protest songs, that kind of thing. And sexual stuff that they didn't allow on the radio. So I made a list of some of the memories of songs, man. They had so much good music back then, and these were the best. The underground, to me, was the best because I just really got into the music, and I had the empathy to go along with all the social, injustices and everything that I was just with it, with my spirit. Eve of Destruction, that was one they played on the top 40s, but that was the type of music I'm talking about. Think of all the hate there is in Red China. Take a look around Selma, Alabama. You may go up for 4 days in space, but when you come back, it's the same old place. All that kind of stuff, Eve of Destruction. Today they would call that stuff maybe alternative, but it was even way more than alternative because it was the message, not just the music was different. The Doors, they had a lot more music than what they played on AM, and the stuff on FM was much better. Doors, Moody Blues, Iron Butterfly, MacArthur's Park. I don't remember who did that, but that was one of the first songs that they played on AM radio that was real long, with the big instrumental middle in it. Janis Joplin, King Crimson, Grateful Dead, Pink Floyd, Cream, Beatles. By then, like they were changing with Rubber Soul and Sgt. Pepper's Magic Mystery Tour, and then the White Album was the best, and all that stuff, and some of the songs were long, and some of the songs were weird, and you really didn't hear them on the AM radio. So that's what I was into, and it's still the best music, I think. I still love all that stuff. I'm still a hard rocker, I guess you say, whatever you want to call it. But that's me. That's where it started, and I'm still like that, and I still love that stuff. So I was going to move on a little bit. I have a few minutes, maybe. I'll just introduce what I'm going to talk about next time, which will be going into my sophomore year. And that's when I started, I got my boyfriend, my high school boyfriend, in my sophomore year. And I will talk about him. He'll probably take over the whole next session. But I also wanted to mention that my girlfriends all babysat to make extra money, and my mom would not let me babysit. I just wanted to because all my friends did. Like I said, my mom would give me spending money. I didn't need to work for spending money, but I just felt like everybody else did, and I kind of wanted to do that. I was starting to want my independence from my mother, I think. I didn't want to have to rely on her and ask her for stuff, and she wouldn't let me babysit. But one day, it was a lady that she worked with, a friend from her job, her, daughter or niece or somebody needed a babysitter. So they asked me, and because it was a friend of my mom's, relation, my mom let me go. And the kid was asleep. He was like about 2 or 3 years old. He was already sleeping when I got there. And they went out for a few hours. So I'm just on the couch, watching TV, talking on the phone, and go to get something to drink. Well, they had a big pitcher of whiskey sours in the fridge. And I mean, I could tell it was alcohol, and I didn't really like the taste, but I poured a glass and I was sipping on it. And man, I got so drunk. I mean, I got really, really drunk there all alone by myself, my first babysitting job. Thank God the kid never woke up. But when they came home, I tried to act as straight as possible, and the husband drove me home. But I was just thinking, they're gonna know I was drunk, and they never called me again. Anyway, that's a little side story. So next time I will talk to you about my boyfriend through most of high school, and that will be interesting, very interesting. So I hope you tune in again soon. I try to do these every couple of days. And I thank you so much for watching. And if you subscribe, you'll never miss one. If you click the red S, that's how you get straight to my channel, and you will get notified. It'll pop up every time you go on YouTube. Thank you. Oh, one more cool thing. I went to the dentist today, and the oral hygienist cleaning my teeth, she was just talking, just going on and on. She was telling me about her dad when she was little. He was never there, and they had divorced. She's just talking about her, life when she was a kid and she was the only child and da da da. You know, I mean, I got my mouth open. I can't say anything. But at the end, I told her that I was documenting my life on YouTube because that's what she was doing to me, kind of what I'm doing to you. So she was very interested anyway. She said she's going to start watching for sure. So, okay, have a good evening and see you soon.